Police pursuits gone tragically wrong. Case 1. Dominic Francis. A heart-pounding police chase took a devastating turn when an officer's life was tragically cut short on a fateful night along southbound Interstate I-75 in Ohio. It was the 31st of March 2022, darkness providing the cover for a high-speed pursuit that would have dire consequences. The story began as officers spotted an Infiniti sit-in speeding and initiated a daring attempt to pull it over. The vehicle was speeding erratically, reaching a staggering 87 miles per hour. Bluffton police officer Dominic Francis stepped onto the scene, deploying spike strips on the asphalt of southbound I-75. But what seemed like a routine maneuver would soon spiral into a horrific tragedy. Around 2:30 a.m., amidst the chaotic pursuit, the suspect vehicle escalated its speed to over 130 miles per hour. As the chase reached its perilous climax, Officer Francis was laying out the spike strips, unaware of the imminent danger. In a chilling twist of fate, the vehicle struck him, claiming his life at the very spot he aimed to enforce the law.
The car then fatally struck Bluffton police officer Dominic Francis as he tried to slow the vehicle with a tire-popping device. The suspects abandoned the sedan along County Road 29, where at least one of them stole a Prius around 3 a.m.
Yet the perpetrators were far from done. Abandoning their vehicle in a frenzy, the three suspects fled on foot, leaving the scene in chaos. Their desperation led them to seize a Toyota Prius from a nearby home in Hancock County. Their flight continued, leaving a trail of uncertainty in their wake. However, one of the assailants met their match as skilled officers swiftly apprehended them. A manhunt was launched to apprehend the thieves who were still at large. The hunt for the remaining thieves was relentless, spanning through the night. The breakthrough came with the dawn, as troopers from the Ohio State Highway Patrol stumbled upon a stolen silver Toyota Prius in northeast Ohio. The vehicle had been reported stolen 5 hours earlier in Hancock County. Shockingly, a second heart-pounding chase ensued, this time with a different vehicle, crossing county lines and defying reason with speeds exceeding 100 miles per hour. The pursuit would test the mettle of law enforcement and put countless lives at risk.
Patrol, you also have sheriff's deputies are going to try a number of times some very aggressive pit maneuvers. This is how much they want this suspect off the road at this point. You're even going to see you can see the suspect in the car. He's by himself
At last, at around 8:15 a.m., after a gripping 25 minutes pursuit, the stolen vehicle was cornered in Eaton Township, Lorain County. The relentless efforts of the officers finally forced the perpetrators to a standstill, ending a harrowing chase that spanned multiple counties.
The driver continues eluding troopers, crossing into the southbound lanes of 71 and exiting onto Route 82 into Strongsville.
The driver of the vehicle who struck the fallen officer, 21-year-old Emmon Johnson, and the passengers, 21-year-old Zachary Love and 19-year-old Dan Tate, were arrested. Johnson, who was on trial for the most severe charges, was sentenced in March 2023 to 21 to 26.5 years in prison relating to 6 charges. These included counts of involuntary manslaughter, possessing criminal tools, tampering with evidence, failure to comply with an order of signal, failure to stop after an accident, having weapons under disability, and receiving stolen property. Dan Tate, who stole the Toyota Prius and led police on a car chase, pleaded guilty to receiving stolen property and complicity to receiving stolen property. He also received charges of improperly handling a firearm in a motor vehicle and theft or grand theft of a motor vehicle. However, these were dropped by prosecutors. The assailant was sentenced to 30 months for the crimes. Zachary Love is also facing charges. These relate to receiving stolen property, having weapons under disability, tampering with evidence, and improper handling of firearms in a motor vehicle. For these crimes, Love was sentenced to 33 months for charges relating to the stolen property. Officer Dominic Francis, age 42, had dedicated 19 years to law enforcement. Survived by his wife, daughter, and son, his legacy lives on. In memory of the fallen officer, a stretch of I-75 that runs through Bluffton was renamed as the Officer Dominic Francis Memorial Highway. Case 2. Police Officer Robert Duran. Tragedy struck in a heart-wrenching episode that unfolded on the streets of New Mexico. In a heroic effort to detain a vehicle believed to be involved in a carjacking, the life of senior police officer Robert Duran took an unforeseen and tragic turn. The date was March 2nd, 2022, a day that would be etched in history for all the wrong reasons. However, the abduction isn't all it seems, as the story will soon reveal. Officer Duran, a seasoned law enforcement professional, was among the officers responding to a distress call involving a carjacking and abduction. The situation held an ominous twist that would soon unravel. The initial reports indicated that a woman had been kidnapped at knife point by her boyfriend, setting off a chain of events that would change lives forever. The pursuit unfolded near the intersection of Sawmill Road and Street Francis Drive as officers attempted to intercept the suspect's vehicle. What followed was a harrowing car chase, a high-stakes endeavor under treacherous conditions. Little did they know, the fate's cruel hand had more in store. The assailant took daring measures to escape, defying oncoming traffic and crossing medians in a desperate bid to shake off the pursuing officers. In a deadly act, the vehicle then started driving southbound against oncoming traffic. Tragedy loomed large as the suspect's reckless flight reached its inevitable climax. The fleeing vehicle collided with another, wreaking havoc on the highway and causing immeasurable suffering for those involved.
Car, she eventually spins out in a ditch, but hundreds of feet behind where she spun out, a crash. The crash involved Santa Fe police officer Robert Duran and retired Las Vegas firefighter Frank Lovato.
I'm really sorry.
In a heart-wrenching twist of fate, not only did the suspect's car crash, but the patrol vehicles pursuing it also met a devastating fate. The collision proved fatal, claiming the lives of Officer Duran and retired firefighter Frank Lovato. The impact left scars that ran deep, a stark reminder of the risks that law enforcement officers face daily. The assailant driving the fleeing vehicle along with another officer received non-life-threatening injuries. The driver of the fleeing vehicle, 46-year-old Jeannine Jaramillo, emerged as a central figure in this chilling narrative. Shockingly, investigations revealed a web of deceit surrounding her actions. It turned out that her reported abduction was a ruse. That's right, she faked her own kidnapping. Shockingly, that was not her first of such endeavors. Her tale of being held at knife point had echoes of a similar incident just 6 months prior. As the layers of deception unraveled, the true nature of the incident came to light. Jaramillo's claim of an unidentified male fleeing the scene upon the crash was debunked by diligent investigators. The truth, it seemed, was that she was alone in the driver's seat at the time of impact. The shocking revelations didn't end there. The Chevrolet Malibu she was driving had been reported stolen since February 28th. With mounting evidence, Jaramillo faced grave charges, including 2 counts of first-degree murder and charges for allegedly killing Officer Duran and retired firefighter Frank Lovato. Her trial, set for early 2024, holds the promise of justice for those affected by the heart-rending incident. Officer Duran, whose life was cut short at just 43 years old, had dedicated 7 years of service to the Santa Fe Police Department and had worked in the patrol section and the emergency response team. A husband, father to 2 sons, and a respected colleague, his legacy lives on, etched in the memories of those who knew and loved him. Case 3, John Stewart. On September 17, 2021, an unforgettable tragedy unfolded on the streets of Lake City, South Carolina, leaving an indelible mark on the lives of all involved. This heart-wrenching incident would forever change the course of events for the worse.
The chase started in Lake City earlier this afternoon, but ended in the area of Matthews Road. Police haven't said how Stewart was involved. The mayor does say Stewart heard the chase on his radio and jumped in to help. He says he often worked on his days off.
The tale began with a routine vehicle registration violation, a seemingly minor infraction that would snowball into a series of unimaginable, devastating events. Police attempted to stop the suspect on Chandler Mill Road, only to find themselves thrust into a dangerous pursuit as he fled. The streets of Lake City became the battleground for an intense chase, a chase that would have dire consequences. As the suspect recklessly sped through the intersection of traffic lights, he had no inkling of the impending tragedy he was about to unleash. Amidst the chaos, the assailant struck Lake City Police Lieutenant John Stewart. The collision was catastrophic, immediately robbing the officer of his life in a heartbeat. The assailant, identified as 29-year-old Jermaine Rayan Robertson, showed no remorse for the officer whose life he had taken. Instead, he chose to flee on foot, leaving a trail of fear and anguish in his wake. Roberson's reign of violence was far from over as he swiftly moved on to perpetrate a carjacking on Frierson Road. His actions displayed a chilling disregard for the lives he disrupted. The thief approached the vehicle telling the driver that he had a firearm. First, he hopped in the vehicle and ordered them to drive. But on second though, Roberson eventually pushed the innocent victim out of their car before making his getaway. Regrettably, one police chase wasn't enough to teach Roberson a lesson. A second police chase was inevitable, and once again, brave officers embarked on a high-stakes pursuit to bring Roberson to justice. The pursuit was electrifying, with police on a relentless quest to apprehend the elusive culprit. The question that hung in the air was whether he could slip through their fingers a second time. The tension reached its pinnacle when police executed a daring pit maneuver on the stolen vehicle, causing it to crash on Central Road near Atlanta. Finally, the chase came to an end, and Roberson's reign of terror was over. The arresting officers emerged victorious, albeit not unscathed, as one deputy suffered minor injuries from the maneuver.
Lieutenant Stewart died last Friday during a pursuit in Lake City. Deputies say he was hit on Matthews Road during that chase. State police are investigating and as of Monday haven't released a statement.
The investigation into the tragic death of Lieutenant Stewart fell under the authority of the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division. Witnesses' accounts and crucial CCTV footage were meticulously gathered, each piece of evidence contributing to the puzzle.
He was the type of individual that you could call on the spur of the moment and say, John, we need ABC done. He said, don't worry about it, we can take care of it. I said, but you're off today, why don't you get somebody else? He said, no, we can handle it, we'll take care of that. So he was always ready.
Roberson was swiftly brought to justice, facing a litany of charges including reckless homicide, involuntary manslaughter, and hit and run resulting in death. Denied bond, he now resides in the Florence County Detention Center, awaiting his day in court. Lieutenant Stewart's legacy was one of service and sacrifice. A veteran of the United States Marine Corps, he dedicated 13 years to the Lake City Police. At the age of 48, his life was cut short, leaving behind his 2 sons and 7 siblings. As the community grapples with the devastating loss of a beloved officer, the impact of this tragedy reverberates far and wide. The events of that fateful day serve as a somber reminder of the risks and sacrifices that law enforcement officers undertake to keep our communities safe. If you enjoyed this video, then please show your support for this channel by liking, subscribing, or leaving a comment with your thoughts on this video.